Right, Mistveil. It's practically over, yeah? So Fab observes this cycle where we get the premiere, we get a whole bunch of hype, a whole bunch of interest in the set, everyone rushes and buys and gets their fill, right? We opened 7 cases in total, while 4 on the channel, 3 were just for my partner and I, right? Because we do enjoy opening Flesh and Blood as well. But altogether, I just want to go through the cards, sort of, itemize what exactly I have pulled and discuss a few things. But in terms of the release, right? About a week to 2 weeks, to me, personally, is where the set feels relevant, right? And then we sort of transition to just meta and whatever is competitive. Okay, so before we get into this, in terms of pull rates, and actually let me pull up the table we constructed from Hamel's massive 600 box opening, and just strictly with that, what I do want to say first and foremost is that was roughly 2% of boxes, right? At least the estimated print run. Again, given his contacts and everything, I'm comfortable in accepting that 125k is roughly where it's at. So the 600 cases that he did open is roughly 2% of what the print run could be. And in that sense, whatever pull rates we do find from that aren't absolute, right? There is a huge discrepancy that could happen. So when it comes to the Fables, when it comes to EAs, when it comes to Conform Majestics, right? They could be in the ballpark or they could be sizably off, right? Because even his Rainbow Foil Legendaries, his rate was 80% of the rate that LSS presented, meaning that there is a lot of variable there. But nonetheless, I do think it is good to understand and look at in terms of a ballpark range. So for instance, the table down the bottom, right? We have the pull rates of Rainbow Foil Legendary be 1 a case, Marvel 1 a case, Cold Form Majestics 1 every 3 cases, Cold Foil Legendaries 1 every 4 cases, New Moon 1 every 5 cases, EA Majestics being 1 every 10, Rainbow Foil Fable 1 of 12, Cold Foil Fable 1 every 15, and Marvel New Moon 1 in 200, right? Regardless of how accurate that is, I think it's more the standing of them against one another. So on the table even below that, once we throw in how many cards are in the actual pool, we have Cold Form Majestics at 1 in 15 cases to get something specific. So for me, personally, that goes straight to long draw because I don't think as much as, Mechanologist needs Arcane Barrier, that they will be hugely desirable versus that of long draw, which seems like, just a great card for Ranger across the board. So with that being roughly 1 every 15 cases, or equivalent to the Cold Foil Fable in terms of pull rates, that is something to really think about and consider, right? Because I would assume a lot more people want Cold Foil Long Draws than Cold Foil Fables to play with, but yet its price point is not equivalent. Now, in terms of their pull rates, again, I don't think they are actually equivalent, but the fact that we have the Cold Foil Majestic between the Rainbow Foil Fable and the Cold Foil Fable, or even just close to the Rainbow Foil Fable, still says a lot. It's still more rare than the Rainbow Foil Legendaries, but not as rare as the Cold Foil Legendaries. So it still sits in its usual place, but it's still maybe something to chase, something hard to get, and in that sense, worth understanding, worth acknowledging, worth knowing. Same with the extended art Rainbow Foil Majestics, right? Being harder to pull than the Fable. Whether or not that is completely accurate, whether or not they are just as rare as the Fable, still is a very important tool to understand because, again, levels of alignment appears to be insanely more playable than the Fable. Plus, you also want 3 for a playset, and there will be people who want, a full playset of the extended art. So I do think that is very important to rationalize and consider. Now, we'll go through our pools. So I have 4 piles here. So what we have is we have the overflow, these 2 piles, right? Basically, cards I'm fine to get rid of. Then we have actual playsets of the Majestics in set. I don't like keeping Rainbow Foils. I have no interest in playing with Rainbow Foils, so as long as I get normal playsets, I'm happy with that. And then, of course, we have the Cold Foil pools, the Legendary pools, the Marvel pools, and I did get the Fable, but it's not in here. It is in a storage box with all my other Fables. So there is one Rainbow Foil Fable that we did pull, but not present, right? So basically, what I'm really happy with is in those 7 cases, I did manage to get almost complete playsets of the majority of Majestics. We got everything we need in terms of New and Assassin, in terms of Enigma and Illusionist, Zen, the Mystic staples, so levels of alignment. We got a full playset. We got Rainbow Foils as well. Then when it comes to the expansion slot and the generics are done. Expansion slots, Supercell, Dust, Eloquent Eulogy, Visits, the Kindle, and where we fell short is the Evo sets and Shadowrun Horror. So when it comes to the Evo sets, we unfortunately... Oh, and Murky Water, which is actually more impactful because I like Riptide, right? So we did get the arms, but other than that, we did not finish any other pieces, right? We have 2 heads, we have absolutely no legs, right? Then we only got 2 Shadowrun Horrors, so 1 short from that, and Murky Water, 1 foil, 1 normal, but also 1 short. So I'm really ecstatic with that. I'm pretty sure that's the best I've ever had it occur in terms of trying to pull all the Majestics and not having to buy anything after I, burn through my allotment of cases. And usually, right, aside from heavy hitters and bright lights, I used to always do about 10 cases. So 7 cases is kind of under what I usually do. But yeah, ecstatic. In terms of the legendaries, right, I ended up getting everything but Meridian. So these are just the generic cold foils, which we're not going to go through. The Majestic cold foils again, right, given their rarity, right? Evo Recall, Evo Slip Speed. I thought I got 1 more, but I guess not. No long draw, but so 2 out of the 5 in actuality, which I think is fine. And then just a whole bunch of the normal common ones that I don't really care about. The Sacred Arts, 2 of the 3, which is really nice. In terms of the Transcend cards, 5 out of the 8. Again, no repeats, so I'm really ecstatic by that, right? Then 2 Rainbow Foil EA Levels of Enlightenment, no manifestations, but I think Levels is probably the better one to pull anyway. We did, unfortunately, get 2 news, front and back, apparently, right? Both young. Oh well, again, there was bound to be some repeats. Then for the legendaries, we got both Master of Recurring Nightmares, both 12 Petals, a lot of Stonewall Gauntlets, 3 in total, I think, and 2 Traverse the Universes, both Rainbow Foil. So that's also not, horrible, right? I would love more diversity, of course, but again, what can you expect? So not getting the cold foil is fine. We ended up with, 2 cold foils, but again, no repeats overall. Just some repeats with the Rainbow Foils, given their rarity. So everything but Meridians, right? So again, pretty satisfied. And then we get to the overflow. So, right, extra 12 Petals, extra few Gauntlets, an extra Traverse for the legendaries. I think I did kind of well on legendaries. How many were we at? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, minus the 2, so we'll go at 8. So 8 in 7 cases, right? So slightly above, which is really nice. And then the 2 cold foils as well, given that they were, God, why did I close the table? What were they? 1 in 20 cases is pretty ecstatic as well. Again, we'll probably expect that to be a little bit lower. Well, for the cold foils, I don't know actually. But yeah, overall, I think my pulls are pretty satisfactory. In terms of 1 card in interest, yeah, Tenant. So, mind you, there is a playset. Well, 1 singular card, right, in here. So we actually ended up getting 1, 2, 3 foils, and then 4 normal Tenants. And my understanding, despite it not being shown on the collector page or anything like that, is that it has been short printed, which would make sense because it's a legendary. You only need 1 of it. Generally speaking, they have short printed Majestic equipment before for that exact reason. So it'd be understandable if it is short printed. But to me, I haven't seen it. It's probably one of the most Majestics I've gotten. So again, playset in there. So for instance, when it comes to Cosmic Attune, we got 5 in total. So more Tenants than that. And Ravel, 6 in total. Still more Tenants. In fact, I got 7/7, right, for levels and the Tenant, which is pretty interesting given I think they're the top Majestics, right, to find in foil. Visits 6, Rowdies 4, 2 Sacred Arts. Sacred Arts also, I would be interested to see if they've been short printed. They feel short printed given the pooling, but again, hard to say, right? Going off of everyone else's expectation of Tenant, that's what's out there. I just got lucky in that regard. But yeah, most things I ended up either getting a playset or around 5 to 7 copies. Actually, there we go. Siren Call is the biggest one at 9 copies in total, right? So 3 foils and then another 3 plain, and of course 3 in there. So altogether, again, it seems like there's a decent amount of consistency in the variable, right? We only got, 4 cards, Murky, 4 pieces, 5 cards, Shadow, 6 cards. So 6 cards, all expansion slot 2, right? So again, even scarcer to pull, but in terms of inset, we ended up sort of averaging around the ballpark for all the Majestics, right? Which is really nice. But other than that, you know, I'm really happy with the set. I'm happy with my pools. I'm happy with, you know, how much I have to seek out singles, because personally, I don't like buying singles. I rarely do it. I like opening the cards, even the chase cards or even the cards I want to play with, unless they're promos, of course. I like opening them. For whatever reason, call it a gambling addiction, because that basically is what it is. I'd rather, you know, go spend the $100 on a box, AUD, right, rather than go and buy the $100 legendary that I am searching for, right? Because it's just more fun and interesting to me, regardless of what I get. But yeah, so I think that's basically it, right? Actually, one last thing that I am interested in discussing and showing off. We'll turn that back on. So this is 10,000 Year Visit, right? And I wanted to just highlight this, right? At pre-release, right? $30, 3 copies sold, which is still, you know, insane to me, right? But even without that, this is what we want to zero in on. How long it stayed at, you know, $4, $2 before its eventual decline to where we're at now, with it being a, you know, 50 cents to $1 card. So in terms of $4, even 1/4 the drop off is crazy. This is why you really just got to sit and wait, right? A lot of the Majestics are just designed to be played with. They're not that hard to get. The expansions aren't kind of different, even though, again, the design philosophy is meant to be there to expand play. So I do, again, want to see further tweaks with them, but across the board, right? Majestics from the set aren't going to be the chase, aren't going to be the hard element, neither are Rome Before Legendaries. So bide your time. I'd still probably wait a little bit unless you have events coming up, and then, you know, it will settle. It has settled, it will continue to settle, and be prepared that this is exactly how things are going to go for every single set going forward. This is how we cannibalize Fab. We open so much of it within that 3-week period, right? Again, drips and drabs from the premiere to pre-release to the actual street release, and then a big monumentous amount of either store openings, right? Again, mass box openings to have singles ready for market, or just personal openings. So altogether, it is just incredibly worthwhile to be patient and wait for the cards altogether. Or at least haggle, right? Say, I know full well that this is going to drop. Maybe, you know, more public awareness and more people doing it will rein it in. But yeah, interesting nonetheless. So I hope you enjoyed. Again, static with my Mistveil pulls altogether. Right, I would love one adult, right, Marvel, but again, no duplicates on the Transcend cards, whether it's the common or the actual Sacred Art. A few Collectible legendaries, Fable. I'm good. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.